Hi, welcome to Spen Music. This is lesson 1 in the beginner guitar series. My name's Chris Hanks and I was a music teacher for 30 years and I taught hundreds, probably thousands of people how to play the guitar. And I know some of the common misconceptions that can cause problems for people when they first start to play. So I'm going to try to address some of those misconceptions in this first lesson. Now what we're going to be looking at in this first lesson is chords and chord charts. Now this is a chord chart. In this lesson you're going to see how the chord chart tells you where to put your fingers on the guitar and shows you how to play the different chords that we're going to do. Today we're going to do an E minor chord and a D chord. As you can see in the image you got in front of you, you got the guitar with the strings going down and then the frets going across. The frets are the metal bars that you can see. Okay, so when we're talking about the first fret, we are talking about this one. When we're talking about the second fret, we are talking about that one. Okay, etc. going all the way down to fret 25 or 26, or depending on how long your neck is. Okay, now we're not going to be worried today about frets 25 and 26. We're just going to be looking at the first 3 frets. Okay, the first chords that you're going to play will only deal with the first 3 frets. You don't need to worry about the others for now. The first misconception that we're going to deal with is what is this at the top? That is called the nut. So that is not a fret. So that won't appear on your chord chart as a fret. It is on your chord chart because it is right at the top. It's the top line there, but that is not a fret. Okay, the first fret is this one, like we said before. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the chord charts and how those chord charts relate to the guitar. So the strings are going down. So this is string 1 on the guitar and this is string 1 on the chord chart, string 2 on the guitar, string 2 on the chord chart, string 3 on the guitar, string 3 on the chord chart, string 4 on the guitar, string 4 on the chord chart, string 5 on the guitar, string 5 on the chord chart, string 6 on the guitar and string 6 on the chord chart. Okay, so it relates exactly to where the strings are on the guitar. Okay, then the frets. So this is the first fret, this is the second fret, this is the third fret, and those are the ones that we're going to be dealing with. Okay, the first chord we're going to have a look at is the E minor chord. Okay, now you can see when this E minor chord appears that it's got a little bit more information on it. It's got the name at the top, obviously. It's got those 2 purple dots. That's where you put your fingers. I'm sure you've worked that out already. And it's also got some numbers at the bottom. Now those numbers tell you which fingers to use. Now the key 3 things that you need to learn when you are playing chords on the guitar is which fingers you use, which strings you put them on, and which frets you put them on. Now it's really important that you understand that you don't actually put them on the frets. You press the strings down so that the string presses down on that fret, and that's what creates the note. So your finger actually goes just to the left hand side of that fret to create the note, and that's where you got to get a really clean press down on that note. Now as you can see, the 2 purple dots that are circled here, they are on the 2nd fret, or again just the left hand side of that 2nd fret. That's the 2nd fret there, and that's the 2nd fret on the guitar. So that's where you will press down. You will press down on that, or just the left hand side of that 2nd fret. Okay, so let's have a look at the strings really quickly. You've got string 4 there, and you've got string 5 there. Okay, so you're playing on string 4 and string 5. Okay, so this is where you put your fingers. There and there. String 5 and string 4 on the 2nd fret. Now this is the bit that's really important, where you've got to be really disciplined about it. You're so used to just using 1 finger to do a lot of things that you would do like this, but for this you've got to use 2, and you've got to use your 2nd and 3rd finger as it says there. If you can see there the information, it goes 0, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0. So the zeros just mean that they're open. Those strings you don't do anything with. Open means that there's no fingers on there. You can just play that string without anything on it at all. Okay, the 2 is your 2nd finger and the 3 is your 3rd finger. So if you have a look at that picture there, string 2 would be your middle finger and string 3 your ring finger. And this is what your E minor chord looks and sounds like. Okay, now we're going to have a look at the second chord, which is the D chord. Okay, now the D chord, as you can see, has got three purple dots on, so obviously use 3 fingers. Now, if you look at the bottom of the chord, that tells you some things that we've not seen before. If you look on string 6, it's got an X there, and string 5 has also got an X. That means that those 2 strings, you do not play them. Okay, that's what the X means. And then on string 4, it's got a 0, so you play that string, but it's open. You don't put any fingers on there. And then string 3, a 1, that means that you play with your first finger. On string 2, a 3, that means you play it with your third finger. And on string 1, a 2, that means you play it with your second finger. Okay, so there's 3 fingers that you put on there. So if you look at the guitar, for the third finger, for the third string, we've got this one with your first finger, and then the second string, this one with your third finger, and then the first string with your second finger. And this is what it looks like. Okay, now I've got a play along for you that I prepared that just uses E minor and D chords. So you just play along with the chords. When the chord changes, when it indicates which chord you've got to play, it just goes between E minor and D. Now the great thing about these is that it helps you to get your speed up a little bit, because if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, you just carry on, you pick yourself back up again, you have a look at where you are on the screen, and then you can practice doing your E minor and D, and it works really well. Now, something that's really, really important, try to keep your thumb in the middle of the guitar, right at the back, and push your wrist through. In that way, you'll find it a lot easier in the long run to be able to get your fingers around these chords. Okay, so your finger should be right in the middle of the fretboard. There's a picture there for you to have a look at, right at the back. Okay, and push your wrist through. It feels a little bit unnatural to start off with, but that's the way that you're going to be able to reach these chords and be able to play them really clearly. Okay, good luck with it, and I'll see you in lesson 2.